Welcome to Logistics Unplugged. My name is Brian Blaylock, and I'm your host, and I'm happy to jump in today to all things logistics. So let's pull back the curtain, take a look under the hood, and have a great discussion. I'm really excited today to not only have the really interesting topic, but the fantastic guest again, Jason Lockard, Senior Vice President of Managed Logistics for Blue Grace. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Brian.
Yeah, so, logistics is always a fast-moving, rapidly changing industry. And so as you and I sit down this morning getting ready to go over the Q3 2025 Logistics Confidence Index, we might have a little bit more confidence this morning. Is that fair?
More than we expected, I think.
More than we expected. I like it. Never a bad way to start the week. So we'll hold that for just a minute. And Jason, I know coming off of our last LCI back, March 4th, followed that up with the announcement of the tariffs April 2nd. And from there, we had certain expectations, but our market maybe had a different idea. So talk to me a little bit about that. Talk to me about some of the changes that you've seen since our last confidence index reporting, and tell us a little bit about where this comes from and what it means.
Sure. Yeah, just quick reminder, LCI is a index that we use, but it's a forecast. It's not a rearview mirror look. It's our customer sentiment and what they think is going to happen the next quarter. And so we did this Q2 forecast right before the tariff announcements came out. And those were all very positive results for revenue, 74% positive that our customers felt like revenue was going to increase going into Q2. And then, 3 or 4 weeks later, these tariff announcements come out.
Right.
And we found ourselves very busy working with our customers, scrambling, trying to figure out what this means for their businesses. There's some implications on transportation side, but really just helping our customers with data so they can run their side as it relates to tariff implications. But we sort of guessed that, wow, this next iteration is going to get hit by this, that there's going to be fewer people positive about revenue growth. And it's not really what we saw.
Well, every now and then it's nice when your crystal ball is a little cloudy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we had probably a similar event of having something gigantic to follow up immediately after we released the forecast, right? So we had that happen, and so to your perception, our customers continued to remain positive even after those announcements.
A little bit of a decline, 3% decline. So we're from 74% positive. What they were projecting for Q2, they're projecting 71% of their people we surveyed, our customers, are saying that they're seeing revenue growth and looking forward into Q3.
Yeah, so if we responded that well to bad news last time, I'm excited, Jason, to see how well we respond to good news this time.
It could be that they fully anticipate revenue numbers to be up because they're going to increase their prices because of the underlying cost increase with the tariffs. So it's not a perfect science. It's still a forecast or a guess. But there's quite a bit of positivity there. And what was interesting as well is we're still seeing that inventory pull through. What we did see happen from an inventory standpoint right after we published the last LCI is their shipping and transportation volumes increased significantly because a lot of folks were starting to try to pull inventory ahead of the tariffs, so whatever those deadlines were, so they're trying to buy as much as they possibly could and get it into their warehouses so they didn't have to take that hit. So we did see that happen, but it looks like that's continuing. We went from 42% positive to 49% positive Q2 to Q3 in terms of inventory, trying to build those inventory levels, which tends to be a good thing.
Yeah,
we want to see that continue to increase.
And this is maybe a dumb question from my side, Jason, but you might be able to help me out as the expert here, is if we're getting ahead of some of the tariffs and we were increasing inventories in some of those warehouses, if we start to show a little excitement and we begin to increase orders again, is there any issue with being able to place that inventory? What do we do from there?
Well, it could constrain capacity. So if we start having both inventory build and we start seeing more consumer demand, more of that pull through, then you're going to see some capacity tightening on the truckload side, which would find its way into LTL and other modes of transportation as well. But we're not quite seeing that yet.
Gotcha. So this might be for our future crystal ball adventures on that part, right?
Yeah.
I like it. So, talking about all the sailings on the ocean right now, Jason, I can't help but think about one of your favorite pastimes, which is also to get on the ocean, but usually not with freight, usually with a fishing pole. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the current fishing forecast while we're talking about the LCI. What do you got going on
Well,
there?
it's raining today here in Tampa. It's been raining all weekend. But that's usually good. We've the weekend before a tournament, if it's raining like crazy, it means the next, during the tournament, it's going to be good. We've got a big tournament coming up next weekend. So the 42nd year, I believe, the Crossweight. It's a charity tournament they do down in Bradenton.
Nice.
But it's a big west coast of Florida offshore tournament. So we'll be starting about 140 miles offshore and working our way back in.
Oh, wow. What are you fishing for?
We're going to start for swords Friday night, and we fish it for swordfish, and then working our way in for some wahoo, possibly some deep water grouper, some Warsaw grouper, yellow edge grouper, snowy grouper.
Very cool. Very cool. And since you brought it up, why don't you go ahead and give that tournament a plug? You want to tell them exactly what that is? Is that fair?
Yeah. The name of the tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Crossweight.
Oh, did I miss
annual
it? Sorry.
charity tournament. Yep.
Note to self: pay attention.
There's a big story behind that, and I'm probably not a pro on that either. So
That's
but
okay.
It's been around for quite some time, and it's a great charity event.
Nice. Do you know what charity that supports?
They do multiple different ones. They do some local hospitals and children's homes and things like that.
Very cool. So, is it too late for anyone to get involved? If you
No, we could share that. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So feel free to get involved, look that up, gain some interest in not only the event, but the charities that it supports. So back to our original program, already in progress, Jason, we talked about what happened moving from our last update into the changes that immediately happened after. So talk to me about just the general sentiment, what you saw, and a little bit more history of where the LCI comes from. I know it is a forecast. Where do we pull that information from? And what'd you see? I know we got to adjust our expectations because of what we just found out, but what did we see in this LCI?
Well, the information comes directly from our customers. So we have quarterly business reviews. We have bi-monthly meetings. It depends on the type of relationship we have with that client, but this is direct feedback from them. Those that can share it, not all of them can.
Right.
They might be publicly traded and they can't share that information. But the ones that opt in, we do share this information back with them so they have a general idea of what's going on. But the tariff talk was definitely top, number one topic, pretty much every single conversation. But you can kind of see in that last metric that we track, the orders metric, that actually became significantly more positive, that they think that there's not going to be much of an impact on orders at all. And so all three of those things, revenue, inventory, and orders all being positive, was not what we expected
Yeah, it's
at
fantastic.
all, but that's what the survey was showing.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that. I did not expect that to be the conversation we were having this morning. I expected to be excited about maybe veering off of that with some of the updates, but didn't expect that great of a story coming from our partners, but I'm happy to hear it. And I'm sure you are too. And for our partners, we thank you for that partnership. We thank you for providing that information so that we can all help each other, because that is the basic concept of what we're trying to do with these meetings, is trying to make it better for our partners, make it better for the industry. And I think better is a pretty good story for this morning. So I won't ask you to lean too hard into your crystal ball now, Jason, but taking the sentiment that you just captured from these customers and adding in the news from today, do you feel like leaning into your crystal ball a little bit and tell us what you think that might mean in addition to what we got from the LCI?
I'm more hesitant than ever to do that. You've got, I would say the hardest part about what we're dealing with right now is the volatility, is that it changes so often. We were actually just talking about that earlier. We have to be careful what we put out there. If we wait a couple of weeks to share it, things might have changed.
Yeah,
since then.
That's fair.
Even this morning, I believe there's another pause that went out there with China, so we've reduced our tariffs down to from 145% down to 30% for a 9-day period. That's going to have implications on this. And so people that were holding, ones that didn't have an opportunity to pull ahead or didn't decide to pull ahead, are probably rethinking that now, and we could see an increase in import volume for the next 90 days. And so it's very volatile, and I think that's the most frustrating part of what the supply chain folks that we deal with are, on our customer side, is that they have to keep running back to the drawing board every time something changes at the macro level.
No, I could certainly understand that frustration. Would you, if you're sitting in their shoes, Jason, do you still have to have in your back pocket additional strategies, additional ways? I mean, is nearshoring still part of that strategy
Yep.
in the event that all of these things don't pan out, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the most common ones we're hearing is looking at nearshoring. Just sort of if you're able to figure out a nearshoring aspect, whether that's Mexico or Canada, USMCA, it may not, as of today, be the best deal for you, but I think long term, people feel more confident about that type of supplier base.
Well, if nothing else, I mean, whether there's a slight difference in between what the financial implications are or not, in many ways, being able to more quickly and more agilely support your customers has to be a little bit different coming from a nearshoring strategy. So I guess all of the above is the answer on this SAT question, right?
We'll see if this proves out.
Yeah. What do we do? So Jason, I'm going to put you back on your boat for a second, since we've shared this question, but you're going to get it a little bit differently with a few of the other guests we've had. It's summertime. Now you're sitting on the boat. You're fishing, but I don't want you to be in your serious fishing mode because I want you to be out there to have a little fun. What are your top couple of tunes that you're going to throw on when we're out fishing? That I'm not going to say it's going to make more jump in the boat, but make you a little happier while you're out there trying to pull them in.
I pretty much turn, and I think I mentioned this last time too. I pretty much turned stick figure on and shuffle that.
You did.
Edge of the Ocean's a really good one.
Okay.
But yeah, it's something you can turn on and just roll. And then if we're coming in, if we've got a good wind under our belt, then there'll be some other songs that we play. I don't know if I can share that here.
Those might slide past the boundaries of appropriate. Is that where we're all right? So now the even more difficult question for you is now you're back and you're staring at your grill. You're trying to figure out the most delicious piece of fish to throw on that grill.
Yeah.
What's it going to be?
Wahoo,
without question, no hesitation.
and just sear it. Just barely
sear
touch it.
Okay. Anything on it, or is it just
a little soy sauce, a little wasabi?
Okay.
Maybe a little sesame oil, but
I like it.
It's amazing.
All right, so we've gone from an LCI to the Master Chef sharing with you the best music to have on to make sure the wahoo jump in the boat automatically, because we know that's a real thing, and then the way to throw it on the grill and have a little fun with it when we get there. Jason, any last little parting words of wisdom you want to give to the folks to how to continue to make things better based on what you're seeing out there right now?
With all the volatility, be careful about long-term knee-jerk reactions to things. So things that you can't undo. I think volatility is just built into the strategy of what our current administration is doing, and so we just have to sort of figure out how to play the long game and smooth out the rough edges of this. And it's not ideal at all. Some customers are very concerned about the future of their businesses, but at the end of the day, you have a quality product, provide good service to your customers, and we're there to help them.
I like it. I think that advice holds true no matter what goes on in the market, right?
Yep.
No matter what's there, we don't have the luxury or the option to have an opinion on it. We have the absolute requirement to be able to be responsive to it, no matter what it is.
Yep.
And I appreciate your team continuing to do that. And I appreciate you coming in here and sharing with the folks some good information on how to do it. And we hope all of you continue to pay attention to this. We wanted to get this one out in front of you. Listen every Tuesday for the next Logistics Unplugged. And let's do everything we can to make it better. Thanks, Jason. Thank you.